All right, everybody, welcome to Behind the Bar. I'm your host, Danny Johnson, where we take a closer look at your favorite dry bar comedians. Today, before we get to my guest, our show is always sponsored by RX Solutions. If you want to save up to 75% on your next prescription, if you're uninsured, underinsured, go to rxsolutions.online. My very special guest today is a friend I've had the pleasure of working with and meeting before, the very funny Casey Peruski. Casey, welcome.
Danny, thanks for having me. How we doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I purposely wore a hat, right? So
Oh yeah.
we're
Listen, Danny's interviewing himself. Oh my
it's,
God, he's out of guess already.
right. I was like, I better wear a hat because I think we can pass as cousins or something like that. Just a
I
bald
know
guy.
there's so many guys that have the Stone Cold Steve Austin look, bald
Right.
head, beard. I say, I have hair on my chin, but not on my head. But dyslexic people seem to like it.
Right. I remember that from your special. Right, right.
Thanks.
I uh I'm just missing the muscles and confidence, talent, and money that Stone Cold had.
Yeah, I like. They'll take some of those too. Just keep grinding. That's what it is. Grind, and then you're gonna find a gem somewhere.
Right. Keep grinding, crying in the corner.
That's right. Trying to justify everything.
So I remember, so your dry bar special is called "Doing Pretty Good," which made me laugh for several reasons because I said it like 60 different ways. Like, doing pretty good. I'm
That's
doing pretty
right.
good. I'm
Dude,
doing
it's
pretty
like the
good.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Yeah, and it's funny too. That was just a throw-in line that I didn't even, like. They actually named it because I shot my special right before the lockdowns happened, like two
Uh,
weeks before, and I had even pushed it back because my schedule had got jammed up. And if I pushed it any further, I would have had to wait. And then when they did go back, they had a lot smaller audiences. So I was blessed to get it in. And then they named it Doing Pretty Good. They came back to me about it. I go, I don't know what was going to happen. I'm like, just green light. It looked, the first edit looked awesome. They did a fabulous job. Um, and I said, just go, let's get it out. Who knows if we'll have internet in 2022? Just
right.
so, which I was real happy how it came out.
What how did you so I assume you filmed with two or three other people, right?
Uh-huh.
And what was your process to go through? I watched your special again. I love it. I got some of my favorite jokes written down. The cashew cream, of course. But
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you reached out early on that one.
yeah,
Gave me a
I wish I wrote
bump.
that.
Yeah. Too
Um,
late. I got it.
and church language made me laugh a lot because I grew up Catholic, and then I was big part of a mega church, a non-denominational mega church, right? And there's so much of that. I'll pray about it. Really means I'm
Yeah.
not doing.
Yeah, no. Let me yeah. Good to see you, brother. I forgot your name. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's so many people at church you don't know their name. And then so many people look similar too. That's the other thing. If you
yeah.
go like a mega church.
Everyone starts dressing the same, and
Right, right.
I
And
here's one for you. Um,
okay.
not to, maybe not to use in your act, but this freaked me out a lot in church. Um, we were told was one pastor kept using the phrase we have to love on them. If you see homeless people, you gotta love on them. You gotta if he goes, and then the one particular maybe really uncomfortable was like it was during service. He was promoting a men's conference. There's gonna be men there, a lot of men gonna love on each other deep into
Wait a
the
minute.
night. We're just gonna love on each
Yes.
other. I'm like, can we like have another phrase?
Yeah, we're gonna love on the men's group and also the gay conversion is going over later. Wait, which one is which? I don't know. I like one as like if someone ever comes up to you and says, Casey, pray with me, and they grab your hand and you start praying with them, like, Lord, get Travis out of jail. I go, Travis stole my car. I want him in jail. Like I don't agree with this prayer. I'm against it.
Right.
I'm the
Yeah.
other side.
I
Uh,
I I witnessed somebody grab someone and say, "Pray with me," and they both closed their eyes, and the person that said it grabbed the shoulders of the other one, and they literally said what they wanted to say to them in the prayer, but they wouldn't normally do it in conversation. Like I pray that I pray that you come find some funds to pay me back that money you owe me, and I pray.
I know it's going to be this week that the
Right,
money will be there,
right,
unless something dreadful might happen.
right,
Yeah, it could be
right.
like a mafia prayer. I hate to see anything happen to this convenience store. So, Lord, we pray.
Yeah.
that these windows aren't all busted up by Thursday.
Did you
Yeah, it's
did
tricky.
you
What's that?
did you have time to not time? Did you have trouble picking out the jokes you wanted to do for what was your prep for Dry Bar?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to kind of tell a story of my life because who knows when you're going to do these again. I'd got some time to prep. I think you had a short amount of time,
Yeah.
if I remember what you were telling me about yours. So I had just, I never really bet on myself, but I've always been a working 20-year comic as far as like, I didn't really do many festivals. I just kind of going up that worked a lot of top A clubs and ran my own club here in Fort Pierce for 15 years now. So just kind of doing my own thing, my own way. And then I heard some other comics in South Florida were like, oh, we're trying out for Dry Bar. I submitted, and 2 days later, they gave me some dates. And so I had like 2 months to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of went through, I record all my sets. I listened to them back, and I kind of want to tell the story. I got my kids' names in there. I talk about my wife. I got the club I produce, Comedy Corner in Fort Pierce, in a joke. Like I got to say, I'm like, I don't know who's going to see this. I'm just hoping. I hope it goes. I hope it's funny. I hope it's great. I got advice from a lot of different TV guys and that worked on different big shows like Letterman and Leno, and they would just give me advice what they're looking for and pace myself and try. Eddie Brill from the Letterman show gave me a great tip, and he said, they asked the comics during Letterman to just, slow it down. They'd rather have less jokes than cram a bunch of jokes in.
Right.
So I definitely took my time, and I've worked a lot of clean shows, so I had a lot of clean jokes. I just like, what's my best? How can I tell the story of me, and cross your fingers and
Yeah.
hope it sticks.
It's interesting you say that now as I think back to your set. It goes from you're talking about yourself and having hair, not having hair, getting a girlfriend, a wife, and children, along with your
Mm-hmm.
comedy career sprinkled throughout. So that's interesting. That's very
Yeah,
smart.
I'm like, let me just hit the bullet points. This, Dry Bar, my kids could see it. I did a rock and roll concert for this festival we did in town, and my son, who's 9, got to see me for the first time. And
Mm,
rock and roll crowds aren't always the best comedy crowds, but it was fine. It was a good set.
right.
And my son comes up and he goes, "Dad, I thought you were supposed to be funny." This was
Uh,
like, the one time I thought I could have, but that's one cool thing about Dry Bar and getting them in at least their names in there.
yeah.
So
I think my son said something similar when he was very young. He's 16 now. When he was younger, he said, I go, what'd you think? He goes, well, everybody else was laughing.
I don't get it. What's wrong with all these people?
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
these fools. So yeah, I got some of the stuff's over your head, I guess. Son.
I don't think I've ever asked you this, and we've hung out and talked before, but I'm always curious people's writing style. So, are you a guy that sits down and writes a specific time, day? Do you just think of an idea, jot it down, come back to it? Do you not write anything down like Leno or?
I I'm an idea guy. I love just I'm always thinking about jokes. I think I'm always
Right.
thinking about what's the funny of it. And then when it's real funny, and okay, go to the notepad on the phone, knock down that idea, and then a lot of times it stays that structure how I say it because you're probably always in the joke mode.
Right.
And then I go, okay, how can I then you kind of look around it? And what's the perspective of the joke? I always like to look at the perspective. Is it funny if it's I'm saying it, if someone else is saying it, if I'm seeing someone say that? But I know there's something funny there. The the tofu joke I've done for years. That
Yeah.
was something my wife said. She's like, "We're having tofu tonight." I go, I don't think so. She goes, "No, tofu's great because it takes on the flavor or whatever you cook it in." I go, "Okay, mine must have been cooked in manure."
Right.
So, but it was like that was just our conversation. I go, "Oh, that's funny."
Yeah.
So I think people know the real stuff too, and you worry about writing like headline jokes because the shelf life is short,
Yeah.
and other comics could come up with the same conclusion. So
Yeah.
there's so many talented guys out there just trying not to be basic.
Yeah.
And
I think the comedy world currently is pretty populated with folks really trying to be I don't know, irreverent, shocking. Like
Uh,
I would
it's
prefer just to try to be funny. And if that happens to be you, then that works. It's great, right?
it's funny. I get a stigma because I do a lot of clean shows. Um, they're like, so when I book, they go, I know I got to be clean because I know you. And I go, no, I want you to be funny. Your
Yeah,
first job is to be funny, be hilarious. If you're
right.
getting laughs, then it's not that dirty. If you're getting grossed and you feel like I got to take a shower after the
Yeah,
set, and if you are, but they're laughing, then you're getting the laugh. You
yeah,
know, you're allowed to take that step. It's a plank you're on. And I was working with this one comic who during the Hillary Trump election, he had both pro Trump jokes and pro Hillary jokes.
right.
And so he's got to choose when he's doing a set. And I'd done several sets with him. And then he does a pro Trump joke, and it was a Trump crowd. So they were into the jokes. So then he didn't know what to do after that. He went into his pro Hillary jokes after, and then he
Wow.
lost them. I'm like, what are you doing? You chose correctly,
Yeah.
like Zelda. You went through the correct door.
Yeah.
And for that night, um, so yeah, I like to. Anyways, I don't care if you're dirty. I just want to be funny
Yeah.
and entertaining. And you should know the line. If you're turning the people off, you've gone too far. They'll set the line, and that's why you keep doing. That's why it's tricky when these guys get their uh, bigger comics have like stuff released before it's ready. It's
Yeah.
like they're still finding the line for the joke. This isn't
Yeah.
their. This is some guy who recorded you at a comedy club and put it online. This
Yeah.
guy's still testing it. He doesn't know. Oh, maybe that was too far.
Yeah. And you can
So,
almost substitute, like when you said you got to know the line, you can almost substitute, you got to know the funny. Like if
mm-hmm.
you're, if you have to be seasoned enough to know, okay, yes, it was shocking and gross or dirty or blue, whatever it was, it just wasn't funny. Right. So
Yeah.
can they, a lot of the young guys can't recognize that. But, I was happy to see one of the jokes in your dry bar special. You know how, we had to be, most of my shows are corporate gigs or churches, and I do a few clubs here and there. Um, your joke on the dry bar about the plane crash, about your mom, I was
Okay.
surprised to see how well that did, because it's, they tell you it's Provo, Utah. It's, don't make fun of your wife. Don't, be self-deprecating is fine. And then
Uh huh.
it's a well-written joke and a great callback with the t-shirt as the birthday present, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks.
I was just
I
surprising.
would. I wanted to kind of push the line a little bit too,
Yeah.
because I think there's again. I get the stigma of the clean guy, but I go. I'm thinking, okay. And heard a lot of comics were kind of rattled and overthinking the clean thing.
Yeah.
And I go, you know what? I've gotten away with this before at certain, I've been seasoned to know I can get the laugh.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of dry bar too. I got, I did a lot of game tape. I'm like, okay, that guy got away with, like my son's in the shower for a long time type of joke. And
Right.
I go,
Right.
okay, he rode the line and it got in,
Yeah.
you know. So I think if they think it's funny and it's past one, I think even dry bar has you can censor certain words even.
Yeah.
So if you talk about alcohol and you don't even want to hear it, you can actually, they'll edit that out. So
Right.
I thought if it's too bad, they'll cut it out.
Yeah.
I'd rather kind of, be a little more edgy for this because it's going to stand out a little bit, hopefully,
I
was my
think it would be
thinking.
hilarious if dry bar substituted their own word for the word that, like, let's say someone chose to edit
Yeah.
the word beer, like some customer
Yeah.
chose to edit the word beer out, and someone's doing it, they replaced it with like
Yeah.
bubble
So
gum.
I ordered 4 strawberry milkshakes
Right.
and
Yeah. 7 more bubble gum.
and I was so indigestion. So I started driving to the diabetes store. Like, I don't
Right.
even, what's a diabetes store? That doesn't make sense.
A diabetes store.
I don't know. This is.
It's a bunch of
Let me come
EpiPen.
back on that one. Let's go back. Let's circle back on that joke.
Why don't we circle back, make it, well, parking lot that idea.
Yes,
Um, I so you had the plane crash thing, that was great.
that was good. I thought my other one that was a little. I don't know. I'll interview myself, I guess. No, Joe cutting you off. But the one I was surprised I got into was naming my kids.
Yeah.
And again, another true thing. And our third kid, my wife goes, how about the name Summer? I go, okay.
Yeah.
And then she goes, what about Eve? You want to name our daughter Summer's Eve? She goes, yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's a really fresh name, a little too fresh, if you ask
Yeah.
me.
And
So I'm
that's your
like, all right.
closer, right? You closed on that, right?
No, I closed with the that turtle joke that I've had
Okay,
for
right,
years.
right.
Yeah. But that's another one. I'm like, I think I'm gonna go for it. I don't, it's not, it's not horrible. I don't think anything would be like Def Jam, anything real dirty type stuff. But
Right.
for them, you don't know what they're gonna do. I knew one comic was telling me they got real angry at me because I said OMG, and I go, you said, I go, did you say oh my god or just OMG? It just goes just OMG. They didn't even like
Oh,
that.
man.
I go, oh, so I knew that going in. So you're weighing your options. What's the funniest joke? You also want to get the biggest laugh. So I'm like, this is a big
Sure.
laugh. Take the risk. But again, how many like uh Brian Regan and Dennis Regan, those guys are killers
Yeah.
and we're clean. So funny is funny. It's always funny first.
You
Rob,
know, you
yeah,
know Tom Simmons?
sounds familiar. I don't know if I know
He's
him.
up in Atlanta or Carolina or both.
Okay.
He has a dry bar, and I found this hilarious. He has a joke where he yells during a rant. He yells Jesus Christ, right? So he knows he has to replace that, and he replaces it with cheese and rice, right?
Okay.
So he goes, and I'm watching his dry bar special, and he's like cheese and rice, but the person doing the words at the bottom of the screen, what are they called? I don't know.
Yeah, the captions.
Yeah, the captions wrote Jesus Christ.
Hey, got it in right.
So all the trouble that he went through to replace that was just ruined by the caption folks.
Well, another thing I think was real beneficial for me, and I love the other two guys, but I don't always step up and fight for myself in this comedy world. You really do have to do. You don't have to be a diva, but you also have
Right.
to, quiet mouth is a hungry mouth, they say.
Yeah.
So as I did my research, I realized a host comes out when they film the shows. A host warms up the crowd. You do a 25-minute set, first comic. Host comes out again, they reset, 25-minute set, then an intermission, and then a third comic, host, and a 25-minute set.
Right.
So you do it that early and you do that late. I'm like, man, at all my seasoning, I'm like, I want that second spot. I'd
Yeah.
love to follow someone else's special and not follow an intermission or
Yeah.
a cold crowd. So, I've asked for it in a roundabout way and I ended up getting it. And then on the second performance, they go, the last comic wants to catch a red eye flight, so we're going to put him in your spot second. And I go, I'm not comfortable with moving. And normally I'm laid back. That's how
Right.
I've got a laid back attitude. I go, no, I don't want to move. And they go, actually, well, I guess we'll move the third comic first and the first comic third, and just saying no briefly.
Yeah.
And that both comics were great, but that comic had this killer set. The crowd was a little hotter in the late show, and I got to follow his wave. And I think most of my special was from that second performance.
Yeah.
So that was just one advice I'd give. It's like, again, I would watch Dry Bar. I knew about it for years. I go, man, it's great. Look at all these locations. I'm thinking they go to locations. I'm thinking I've been doing this for 20 years. I didn't know it was just one. They were just changing the backdrops.
Yeah.
And because they were so intricate and so detailed. But then it's like, oh, this guy's doing, it's like when the guy that breaks the 4-minute mile.
Yeah.
You don't think you can do it. Like, oh, maybe I can do it. But
Yeah.
if you don't ever try.
And then ever since, people have broken it over and over.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's tough to stand up for yourself in an environment such as that, or a comedy competition, or a festival. It's like you don't want to come across as
right.
difficult or a diva, and at the same time, you want to show some confidence.
Well, that's what my uncle and comedy partner Spaz taught me. He's a lead singer. He's kind of a diva, and I call him out on it when he's a diva. But I also see, he gets things the way he wants it. He gets it the right way. When I gotta stand up for yourself.
Yeah. Do you find I've done this recently, going back to booking yourself or being considered a clean comic. So when I do a comedy club, I've told them, they always ask, who do you want as your feature or opening act or whatever, do you work with somebody? So I give them a list of names, or I just say, or if you have somebody in mind, I would rather they work on the cleaner side. I work clean, but it's not a requirement. Also, I tell them, don't don't necessarily advertise this as a super clean show, or if you do,
Right.
don't mention it on stage that it's a clean show because it comes across wrong. Like you're telling people, hey, this is different.
Right. I don't like, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. No one don't need to mention it. Just, if you deliver a funny show, that's the job. So
Yeah.
what do you have to say? So maybe there are certain people maybe are prude and, um, they wouldn't come otherwise. I don't know how many of those people are out there. We were doing a show at a civic center. We had a regular show, and they had a teachers of the year banquet in the other room. And we, as they were coming out, we go, "Hey, we got a clean comedy night." And one of the teachers goes, "Yuck!" Like that. That was like the response. And I'm like, "You're a teacher. Like,
Right.
I work with those darn kindergartners. I need to cut loose."
Yeah, she needs a release.
So yeah, people think, "Oh, it must not be fun, or it's going to be kiddie or
Yeah.
corny." I think is the fear. So that's why Dry Bar's got a great hook, because you don't even understand the name.
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh, you hear bar," and you're like, "Oh, okay, it's a club. Club's the bar." We're
Right.
so fast in this world, you don't even think about what it means. How many times I've explained it to people, and they go, "Oh yeah, I guess so. I
Yeah.
guess the words used to describe it are correct."
Yeah. Or they think it's a bunch of AA folks.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Congratulations. Yeah, I'm getting the people sending me tokens. I don't understand it. Like, way
30
to
day.
go. You did it, Casey.
Is there anything in your dry bar special you wish you hadn't done?
A couple, it could have been tighter on jokes. I think more technical stuff. They cut a couple jokes out that I thought were fine, but they were kind of crowbarred in there too.
Hmm.
I'm sure. Um, I don't really have a great pro wrestling joke, but I love pro wrestling because it's like a perfect blend of sports and stand up comedy
Right.
to me. So I had a wrestling joke that got cut, but it was just an okay joke. So everything was done correctly, I think. How
Yeah.
about for yours?
Well, first of all, I wish I was when I did mine, it was 40-minute specials, 30 to 40-minute
Right.
specials.
You had the longer ones.
So mine was 30, ended up being 38 minutes. And I kind of wish it was the 25-minute version, right? So it's just less material out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think I didn't properly balance my dry bar special as far as ups and downs. The there was too much of a lower volume laughter, maybe minute 33 to 35, and then I closed strong, obviously. So if I could have tightened it up, or I would have done that differently. But it was me and one other comic, and to this day, I don't think his has been published. So
Yeah, and that's the other thing that's a blessing. The whole thing's a blessing that again, got to film it before the pandemic, and then it got out. Because I
yeah,
know many comics that they're still, and I've seen some because they were streaming them live on their Facebook page. So that was another thing I was studying up on it, and I saw some killer sets, and some of those guys I haven't seen theirs released yet.
yeah,
So I go, well, I'm just whatever. Why I got picked? Why I was up. Whatever the reason, I'm just thank goodness I got it.
yeah. I mean, what a top-notch production. The crew, the staff,
Oh
the
yeah,
whole company. I had the benefit of flying in Friday night and going to the taping that night, and then
yeah.
I
I did
taped
the same
Saturday,
thing.
so I got
Yeah,
to
I did the
watch
exact. Mm,
some
I did the
stuff.
same thing.
How was the? How was the? I tell people this about my job bar special. I sweat a lot on stage, and it affects my fogs my glasses up, right? So the
Oh
makeup
boy, yeah.
makeup lady was like, "I could take care of that." So she does this special mist and spray and powder and this whole thing on my head. And
Uh
for
huh.
sure it worked. I didn't sweat except my whole body, right? Just not my head. But during my special, if you watch it, whenever I have an itch on my face, I take my pinky nail and kind of scratch ever so
Oh,
because I didn't want a big smudge of the makeup.
right, right.
I don't know if you sat in that makeup
I
chair.
I didn't notice. Yeah, I did the makeup. I did. They treat you top. They're ironing your shirt. I had everything ready to go, but they're like, "You're an idiot. We'll iron this correctly." No. Yeah, they did the makeup. They did it. They did it up. It was really kind of felt like a family atmosphere. Um, and yeah, I said whatever. I go do whatever. I was just trusting in their history. I was in season 6, so I
Yeah.
go at this point, whatever. And then, yeah, I probably was sweating too, but I just hammered through because yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, how many times I did that set, I think all day I did that set in the hotel room,
For sure.
and I just went over and over it and kept my pacing. And a few things I've never done before, but I'm like, okay, I had a little tag, little. It's like, all right, let's
Yeah.
just hit these out of the park. And then I just had great audience, and they had great applause breaks. I'm like, I normally. And so funny with me, most of my shows are with Spaz as a 2-man show. So the local shows, we just go up together and give more for the audience. So
Right.
and he's all over the place. Like he'll interrupt me during a punchline.
Right.
So it was so nice to just have, and then, but it's also made me stronger too. It's
Yeah.
like a baseball player has a donut on the bat, getting ready to warm, making the bat heavier.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it was just, it all came together. And because normally, again, I'm normally the host, so I got that kind of a meteor spot.
Yeah.
And then now, and since I've been headlining a bunch since that has happened, I, putting myself out there more and getting the private gigs. And it's funny doing these private gigs, because it's like, all right, this is Mildred, she's having a 60th wedding anniversary. I know nothing about comedy, and I'm now your boss.
Right. Right.
I go, oh wait, this is how the show should go. We're gonna eat lobster and you're gonna do jokes. No,
Yeah.
don't do
Yeah.
that. They gotta focus. I'm
Yeah.
never gonna be funnier than how good lobster is.
Okay. A good
Okay.
portion of people who hire us for private gigs do not know how to put on a show. Right.
Right. So at least some of them are, I did one, it was a police officer's surprise 40th birthday party. And so they go, you go, I don't want him to know you're the comedian.
Oh boy.
So now the guy's a detective, and he's like eyeing me the whole time as I'm in the backyard, like, who is this guy? What's
Right.
going on here? Then they start feeding me drinks, and I go, is this a sting? Are you setting me up? Right. Are you driving anywhere? Like, can I stay here for 4 hours till I leave your party?
Right. Right.
But no, it was, but he was, they wanted me to roast him. He was stone faced like the whole time. And I'm like, oh, great. The guy that has a gun probably on him.
Yeah. That's the
You'll
worst.
make fun of that guy. So yeah, you don't know what you're getting into, but you can charge a little more. They would work great for my schedule with the family, and
right.
Do a one-nighter and head back. So,
and going back to being confident in what you want. So one private gig I had for a group of pastors from around the country, the guy initially said, it's an outdoor restaurant at this nice hotel, and it's on the patio. And can you, he goes, what I'd like to do is no one knows you're coming. Can you dress up sort of like a waiter with a bunch of glasses of water? And while I'm doing the prayer or the opening statement, can you bump into me and spill the water? And I'll go, oh my gosh. And then I'll just hand you the microphone, and then you start telling jokes. I'm like, I appreciate the idea. Let's pray about it. Let me pray about it.
Thank you. That's the worst. Yeah. They're like, this will be great.
Yeah.
You insult me. You stab me. The fake knife. And
what was some of you in your well, you just mentioned this, like a nursing home gig, but that you mentioned that in your show too. Someone needs to iron that, I think, is the punish.
Yeah, and that's line. That's a little that's a hacky line, but it works. It's funny.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the we've all done like what they call hell gigs in the industry? What are some of your most memorable ones?
Man, I did this one biker bar, and it was more just scary. I never saw so many shots of tequila served in my life. Those giant trays that they would have to put, like the pancake places would have just giant. It was like that of tequila shots constantly. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, oh, these guys are going to kill me.
Yeah.
I do a lot of family stuff, but I got aggressive with them. I won't say what I said here, but I'm like, I got to punch these guys in the mouth. And I get up there, and it was like, it was heaven sent, because all I see is leather out there. And then there's one guy in a Hawaiian shirt and like, tan shorts. And he starts heckling me of all the guys.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, hallelujah. I just start tearing this guy apart.
Sure.
And everyone starts piling in on him, and I want him over. But so I thought that was going to be a hell gig.
Yeah.
The worst ones are like I did one, they put me up and they served the buffet at the same time.
Oh yeah.
So they're like, there's people in the, like, trying to put their beans on the plate and listen to the joke. And then what was the first part? What did he say? Yeah. So though, just nightmare ones like that. But I haven't had too many where I'm good on my feet. So
I think you and I, with our experience at this point in our careers, have a little bit more flexibility to say no to certain.
right, that's the other cool thing about, since my workload has increased too, is like somebody called me for a gig and I go, look, I'm a headliner right now, but I am available. I was going to work with a celebrity. Didn't say I was going to be it, but I was just trying to get a future gig. I go, would you pay me more to be on this show?
Right.
And they go, oh, okay, yeah. So I middled, but I got to work with a celebrity and I got paid more. Normally I would just take, I'd be happy to get the gig at
Yeah.
the usual rate that's out there on an available day for me. So it's just nice. Or you have multiple offers on the table.
Yeah. And
And then you go, okay, well, would you do the, you can up your price on another one and, bet on yourself a little more.
for sure, for sure. And also you can refer the gig out to some friends that are maybe have less
Right.
experience too.
Yeah. Or refer it to another pro like yourself. And then you do the same for me and vice versa. When
Right.
you
Right.
can't do both gigs if you got two on the same.
Yeah.
So, don't be so quick to say no. Like I'm booked, but I don't like bailing a gig, but
Yeah.
if it's 3-4 times more money, or even say, hey, I'm booked, can you do yours on another date?
Yeah.
So you just ask. It doesn't take much just to ask, and they go, oh no, well, you should do Danny Johnson, Dean Napolitano,
Yeah.
whoever great comics are around.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm glad you like comedy. I hope you have a great show. Think of me in the next one. Here's a couple of names I would recommend. Give these guys a call and then call me on the next one.
Yeah. Some comic told me not to that he never publishes his schedule online in case he gets a call. He has a company or some a better paying gig pulling up his website and going, oh, he's at the Laugh Shack behind the gate gas station that
Right.
night. So he can have that.
Yeah, I think it's good though. As a booker, I like to see who's working and what they're
Yeah.
doing. I mean, it's tricky when you do private stuff. Maybe I like to post if it's a real nice place, post after the fact, because it feels like you're rubbing it in. Like I got this private gig and no one can come to it,
Right.
or something like that, or just put it on the schedule. Maybe just the company you're working for, but that's tricky too. Then there's a lot of comics that like we'll start a room and then they'll call that same room. We can do it for cheaper. The comedy show for you. It's like I just don't go to the place. I'm gonna get. There's gonna be stage time for everybody.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I need comics, but don't come and fight me here.
Yeah.
So
I work. I connected with the guy who books the larger theaters in Jacksonville. Florida Theater and Ponte Vedra. Anyway, I booked this private gig for private gigs can sometimes be really lucrative, right? And so I did, and I took it, and I said yes, and I got the deposit, and the same night, like this is like I'm looking 2 months in advance, and I see David Spade's coming to town, and sometimes he'll call me and go, hey, that's how I got to work with Saget again. That's how I got to work with Rob Schneider again, but they're always short notice. And I'm like, look, I can't turn down this money. If Spade, I don't know that he does. If Spade needs an opener, please don't even text me. Don't even let me know. I don't want to know about it because I couldn't turn down the other gig no matter what. But
and did it, but they never. So you
he
don't
brought
know.
his own. Yeah, he ended up bringing his own openers, which was great. But that's my ultimate fear.
That's true. Hey, wait till you give me another few minutes before you start that.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up, buddy.
It's all right. We have a PS5.
Which one is that?
Fun.
M?
PlayStation 5. Yeah, you can.
That LMNOP?
I had a PlayStation 0.5 when I was your age. It was just stick figures. Yeah. No, that's tricky too. And is it the opportunity versus the money? Yeah. And it always seems to happen. I'm headlining the Comedy Zone in Vero Beach at the end of this month, the 26th and 27th.
Yeah.
And like 3 or 4 gigs land on that date that were like perfect gigs, and they paid well. But I'm excited to do 4 shows at this theater I've been coming up at, and they're headlining me now. So I'm like, no, I'm not gonna. And I asked them, I said, hey, you got another date for that? And they were kind of locked on their date.
Yeah.
But I did the same thing. I said, hey, here's some other comics you might want to check out and hit me next time, next year. Yeah. Keep planting those seeds, and You don't know what's going to hit. But that's what's so great about Dry Bar is that like people are like, well, you're going to make some money off that. I go, well, yeah, I could make some money, but I want to make money off having a high quality audition video
Yeah, for
that
sure.
when I submit for work, here's my high level golden ticket almost.
Right.
Here's one of my best performances with the best production.
Right.
And if you like that, then I'll be perfect for sure.
Right.
I might not be your style. There's so many different styles of comedy. So here's what I am.
All right.
Here's the price. And then
wait till you get your first no. Wait till you get your first no with your best.
I know, and you get them. Well, and sometimes a lot of it, like the gig salad and that stuff that's out there, is a lot of those. Half those people are on, the budget.
Right.
Like I called one gig back. I go, hey, did you book this one? And they go, yeah, we did. I go, hey, I'm trying to be competitive. What did you guys settle on with the comedian for price? We settled for a 2.5-hour show, $60 an hour. It's like, okay, I'm like, good. I'm glad I didn't win.
Yeah.
I would have been angry at you.
The worst.
I go, I don't even know what the math is. $150 for 2.5-hour show.
Yeah. I wonder if he's doing it alone,
Yeah, I'm sure it would probably be a bunch of open micers and like experience show. But hey, you get what you pay for. So
well, look, our comedy specials are now also on Amazon, Apple, Google. Dry Bar is spreading it out all over.
Is that Roku as well, I think?
Yeah.
And one of the Comedy Dynamics is pushing it out now or something.
Yeah, you just type in your name on almost any streaming and we pop up, man. How great is that?
As long as you don't do it on any police reports, you search Casey Peruski and enjoy or be horrified, depending on what website you're on.
Right. So I would encourage, look, first of all, thank you for your time. I don't want to keep you any longer.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Family, but
my son wants to do Rocket League, Danny.
I know. I see him in the
race cars playing soccer.
So your special doing pretty good on Dry Bar. Check it out. Your website it's just your name.com, right?
Casey Peruski, CaseyPeruski.com. And then also our Casey and Spaz Comedy, CNS Comedy, like CNN, not as funny though.
And that's in not Fort Pierce, right?
Yep, Fort Pierce. We're at the Sunrise Theater every second and fourth Saturday if you're in the Treasure Coast. Also, we've been at Mulligan's for the last 6 months, every Wednesday doing a show there. That's a no cover charge show, Wednesday at 7:30, Jensen Beach Mulligan's. And we're got some other venues popping up. So yeah, we'd love to have you, Danny. It's been long overdue.
Yeah, let's make it happen. And I really do appreciate you taking the time, man. I will talk soon.
No problem.
And, take care of that family.
Thanks, buddy. You too.
Right,
talk to you later.
Yeah.